So I don't even have an intro for this one because this is some fucked up.
Oh boy.
Hello, hauntlings. My name is Alyssa, here with my ghoulishly gorgeous wife and co-host Lindsay. This is Macabre at Midnight, where we rate all things that sit on a scale, starting with the adorably spooky and ending with the truly disturbing. On tonight's episode, we're going to be looking at Elan School. And believe me, this is fucking awful. But as always, a couple things before we get started.
Yeah.
One, I'm sick. So, if I sound like...
Wah, wah.
Yeah, won't is right. If I sound like garbage, I'm sure I'm going to be editing a lot of sniffling out and sneezing and coughing. Because it's my episode and I have to do all the talking. But I'm all dried up and snotty.
Sorry, I can't do it. I didn't do the research on this one.
Yeah, I know. So, just a little heads up on this one. We talk about a lot of spooky stuff. We talk about a lot of ghosts and hauntings and cryptids and that sort of thing. Stuff that is like maybe possibly real, but there's no solid evidence on it.
It's a lot of paranormal.
Yeah. But this was a request. This one was actually requested by my younger brother. And this one happened.
It's real.
This is absolutely beyond a shadow of a doubt real. This place, everything that I'm about to tell you, yes, this really happened. There are people, there are survivors, people who are alive today who experienced this. This happened, okay? And I think that that's really important to keep in mind as we talk about this one.
Mm-hmm.
But before we get into it, again, just going to touch on a few things. I know we touch on these things every episode, but it's because we don't know if we have new people coming in and listening and just now picking up the information. Right?
Yeah.
So, first things first, this is our ninth episode.
Hooray!
This is our 9th episode. So our next episode, I mean, technically our 10th if you count the listener library, but this is our 9th episode, which means the next episode after it posts, we are going to be releasing all of our social media to you guys.
Yes, and those will be updated as often as
possible.
All the other ones are updated already.
Yeah, and well, if not more so, because like I said, with the Facebook, once we get a Facebook going, or we're even going to do like a Discord server, we'll be able to kind of tell you guys, the last 2 weeks we were down and out, stuff kept coming up. Didn't really have a way to communicate that because all we have is Instagram, and most people just look at pictures on Instagram. They don't generally...
I feel like... with those other outlets too, it'd be easier. People don't always want to type out an email, so it'd be easier to get those listener library entries in.
That is true, but with the email thing, it's easier for me to organize them. So just keep that in mind. We will be taking messages elsewhere, but you're going to have a higher chance of getting read if you email us, just because it's easier for me to organize everything there.
Well, I mean,
yeah.
I'm really bad at email, so I prefer DMs and personal messages, but...
Okay, so if you DM, Lindsay will probably be the one responding.
Yeah, that'll probably be me.
And I will do the email part of it, the email aspect of it, but... Okay, all right, so we're going to go ahead and get into it now. With this one, guys, this is a doozy. Doing these notes, I didn't even know where to start.
So, no, I just got a comment because you said this is a doozy.
Yeah.
You know what it made me think of?
No.
Okay, so that scene in The Emperor's New Groove where they're about to go over the waterfall? And it's like a meme. I just imagined Cusco, and I'm like, okay, bring it.
Okay, bring it.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Jeez. Before I get into it, I do just want to mention, if we giggle or we laugh, we don't think this is funny. But this is a very uncomfortable case. In the words of Bailey Sarian, I'm not laughing because it's funny. I'm laughing because I'm uncomfortable.
Right. It's like something you have to, because you don't know how else to react. So you're like, help.
Right. So no disrespect to the survivors. or to those who died.
Oh, there were people
There
who
are
died?
people who died, yeah.
Eee.
So it's an uncomfortable case, and So anyway, whatever. You guys will see. We're getting into it. Okay, so before we actually get into the school itself, I don't know if this is going to be a one-parter or our first two-parter, just because there was so much to it. So we'll see what happens. But before we can get into Elan School, we have to look at Joe Ricci, who is the guy who actually opened the school. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, he's the guy who opened the school. She was about to ask who he was.
Yeah.
So Joe Ricci was this guy who is said he lived a troubled life. Like, his dad had a drinking problem. And we're not going to get too far into him. I just want to kind of give you like a brief overview of him. So his dad had a drinking problem. You know, he was kind of troubled growing up. In school, they said that he pretty much got along with everybody, but he was described as someone who got along with people, but you did not want to cross him.
Okay, so he was Mr. Tough Man.
Yeah, but like if you were nice to him, he was nice to you. So he was really charismatic. He was easygoing, but he had a few questionable hobbies. He enjoyed shooting animals. He enjoyed stealing. He had some narcissistic tendencies. Lindsay's still stuck on the shooting animals. Yeah, I know. Me too.
Yeah, I know, because of all those other things, that's the most horrible one.
So far, yeah. When he was in middle school, so he's like 12 or 13 years old, he was dating his science teacher.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I was listening to another podcast. I'm so bad at remembering which podcasts frickin' say what, but I always link them. But I was listening to another podcast, and the guys made the point that even if she was as young as a teacher could be, like in graduating, she'd be like 22 years old.
I was going to say like in her early 20s.
Right. Which is just disgusting. Okay.
Right. Also, like, how much charisma does a 13-year-old have to like convince an adult person?
I don't think that the 13-year-old with the charisma was the whole problem.
No, it's definitely not the entire problem, but I feel like it probably played a part.
I mean, maybe, I don't know.
If he's like as psycho as he's sounding right now.
Well, here's the thing, okay? Is like when I was watching the videos of him, I didn't think he was charismatic at all, but everybody like described him as very charismatic. So I don't know. You can judge for yourself as I go on, but maybe I'm just biased because I know. So anyway, he was in a car wreck. I think he was 15 when he was in this car wreck. And he got hooked on drugs at this time due to a prescription for opioids.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, so this develops into a drug addiction. I have heard two different things. I've heard that it developed into a heroin addiction, but I've also heard that he was not on heroin. So I don't know which is true. Okay. This guy is so charismatic, he talked himself out of jail time.
How?
To a judge, yes. And
like, Judge, I don't deserve jail.
Right. I am too cool for jail. Okay. He's the Gojo. He's not the Gojo.
Oh, good Lord.
This guy's not a Gojo at all. So he talked himself out of jail, where he was given the option for rehab. He, of course, chooses the rehab. And the center that he went to was called Dayton School. And it was based after the Synanon facility, which, if you know what that is, do you know anything about the Synanon?
Are you asking me? I have no idea.
No, I'm asking Casper.
Okay, no. No, I don't. I don't even know what that is.
Synanon is basically...
I don't even know if I could pronounce that word without stumbling over it.
A lot of these troubled teen centers were evolved from the model that Synanon used.
Okay.
Okay.
So it's like a prison for kids? More or less.
I don't know if Synanon was for kids or not. Let me look, because I don't remember if it was for drug addicts or if it was for kids. Let me look real quick.
Either way, it's like a halfway house.
Yeah, halfway house type deal. But Synanon was it was for drug addicts and alcoholics. Okay, they had this thing called the game, which we're going to see that come into play later. But the game is a form of attack therapy. Do you know what attack therapy is?
No, and I just want to say it's not that game to people who know what that means. It's not that game. The game.
Oh, the game?
Yes.
That's for you, my millennials.
Yep. Who all just lost, by the way.
Even though my stupid just stared at Lindsay like, what are you fucking talking about when she brought it up? She's like, it's not that game. I'm like, what game? Anyway. So yeah. So Synanon is it was a rehab center, and the school that he went to was based on it.
Attack therapy?
Attack therapy.
What's that?
So attack therapy, it's kind of got a military mentality. We are going to break you down and rebuild you. Okay. For the therapy part of it, it's described as like, we're going to break you down by telling you all the worst parts of yourself to break down the basically shitty parts of you. And then we're going to build you up to be a better person is the idea.
Okay.
And it's called attack therapy. And to me, attack and therapy don't go together in the same sentence.
That couldn't possibly go wrong.
No, not at all. They attack you, they break you, they rebuild you to be a better person. And Joe Ricci at his school, it might be Daytop. I don't know. I typoed somewhere. It's either Dayton or Daytop. There's an N in one and a P in the other. But this guy who is smart, he's observant, he sees money coming in. He decides that he's going to get rich. When he's young, that becomes one of his big things is he's going to get rich. And he notices when he's at this school that this is a way to make money. Now, in the 70s, this is really when the industry for troubled teen rehabilitation kind of became something to capitalize on. Okay.
Oh, good.
Yes. So this becomes something like there's all these hippie kids, they're doing drugs, they're having sex. And this becomes something that, if your child is acting this way, they're a troubled teen. And of course, there are actual troubled teens who need help. But they're a troubled teen. So you can't handle them. You send them to us. We'll handle them for you. We'll rehabilitate them and we'll send them back to you. The issue with this is that, for one, you're going to learn as we're going through this that in the 70s, we didn't know jack about psychotherapy. We didn't know as much about the brain as we do now. We still don't know a lot about the brain. And these professionals working in this industry, watching some of these documentaries, it's like, what are you talking about? You make no sense, okay? It's a different time.
Yeah.
And they're they're definitely altering the brain. They're definitely altering the mind, but they're doing it in a negative way. They're doing it in ways that cause trauma.
Right.
Instead of ways that help. So instead of teaching coping skills, we're giving people problems.
Oh, you're just making them worse.
Yes. So we have all these facilities that are making these troubled teens worse. There was rumors that this Joe was involved with the mafia.
Whoa.
There's no confirmation, so we don't know that he was involved with the mafia. But they said he held himself away. And apparently there were a lot of people that just if you crossed him and...
you might disappear.
Or they'd find you in a weird dead way later.
Swimming with the fishes.
He's swimming with the fishes, yeah.
Oh, boy.
Okay.
So did he start the school after he left the halfway house place that he was at?
Yes. So he actually started this after he got married.
Oh, okay.
Okay. He actually meets Dr. Gerald Davidson, who is a child psychiatrist. Okay.
Okay.
And he was a Harvard graduate. So they team up together and they come up with a new rehabilitation method for teens. They combine education and attack therapy.
That does not sound good.
Wait until you hear about their education system. But they create Elan School.
Okay.
You may be thinking, well, they have a professional in this. Maybe there will be some validity to this.
No, because the doctor is also crazy.
Yeah. I guess the doctor never actually set foot in the school. So
wow. So he was this guy's hey, yeah, all this stuff. And he's like, you know what? Yes. Sounds good. Should work.
I don't know. I don't know, but he never set foot in the school, allegedly. The word Elan, it's a French word, and it means momentum and style and to do it with flair. And this school is out in Maine. There were a couple of different locations, but Poland, Maine was the most common location that I saw. So I don't know if that's where there's like a facility that's considered to be more quote unquote prison like.
Oh boy.
It's for high profile students, I guess. I don't know. Then there's one. This is the one you see the most pictures of. It's got like multiple buildings.
Yeah.
And I think that there's like a third one. So there were like 3 different locations. And these locations are like out in the wilderness. They're like out in the middle of the freaking woods. It's just a house in the woods.
Oh, it's a house?
Yeah, they're houses. If you look at them, they're different like houses, large houses. Okay.
I'm picturing like an estate type. Does that sound right?
No. More like the houses in my grandma's old neighborhood.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they just look like little 70s like like they have like paneling on the outside of their house like ours does, like the siding, and they're just like little houses.
Okay.
Yeah, so all these little houses out in the woods in Maine. I mean, it's a nice area. Like it looks nice from the outside. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So the brochure
nightmares happen on the inside.
Yeah, they do. The brochures advertise this to be a place that. So, you ever watch Dr. Phil?
Yes.
Okay. You know when they get like the troubled teens on there and he's like, I'm going to send you to this rehabilitation center. And it's like they're working on the farm. They're working with the horses.
Yeah.
It's advertised to be like that.
Okay.
Okay, so that's what the brochure says. It's going to be a nice place for your kids to go. We're going to rehabilitate them. We're going to do horseback riding. We're going to do like swimming. There's going to be chores, but it's going to be a good time and they're going to learn how to be a functioning human.
Yeah.
That's how it's advertised. And it was generally directed at richer families.
Makes sense.
I heard that, but I also watched a documentary that said that this was like a lot of people's last resort.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're like, oh, they drained their savings accounts and all they have is this. So like they send their kids to Elan School. Let me tell you something, okay? Because if this is what a savings account looked like back then put me back in the freaking 70s, because it cost $50,000 a year for a student to go to this school, which equates to $300,000 today.
Oh.
Per year. So yeah, it didn't matter. If you had the money, your kid could go to this school. A lot of these kids that were coming in were kids who, there were pregnant teens, there were kids who were on drugs, there were kids who, troubled teenagers. They had like troubled home lives.
Yeah.
But a lot of them were also just like girls who talked to boys. They came from very conservative families.
Oh, yeah.
There were even people who were in their 30s there, because they started out as like a rehabilitation center. So there were people who struggled with drugs and things who would check themselves in, thinking this is going to be a rehab center. This is going to help them. This is going to save them. Okay? You have a range of people. Like it's advertised towards people from the ages of 12 to 18.
Yeah.
But if you listen to some of these interviews, these ex-students will tell you, no, there were people there that were in their 20s and 30s. And one lady even said, like, the oldest student there was, like, 40-something years old.
Holy crap.
Okay.
So they just, were like, yeah, you got the money. You're in. Let's go.
That's exactly it. Eventually, they moved from doing just these quote-unquote troubled teens to children who had autism and Asperger's.
Oh, no.
Yes. So these are some kids that really, do need help learning to function in life. These are kids that don't have the social skills that like you or I have, and they do need help. They need someone to help them learn coping mechanisms.
Right.
And they're being put in this place. So again, $40,000 to $50,000 a year. Within the first year, this place went from having 4 students to 100 students.
Wow.
There
That's
were students being sent from all over the world.
All over the world?
All over the world. One student, her story, I'm trying to remember. I don't remember what country she was from, but her parents came over here. I think her last name, it sounded like Middle Eastern maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think her last name was Ahmed. I don't remember. That might not be right. But they came over and they just wanted to send their daughter to a nice school And they ended up sending her here to this school, which has some horrific things that we haven't gotten into yet. I'm sorry.
So they just thought that she was going to a private school.
They thought that they were sending their daughter, coming to America, sending their daughter to a nice school. Now, this school ends up becoming a school where these troubled teens, not only are they being sent there by their parents, but judges are giving them the option of you're either going to jail or juvie, or you can go to this school. So now judges are sending students here. By the way, Joe Ricci is paying judges to send students here.
Oh, so he's just like more lambs to the slaughter.
Yeah. So he's freaking paying these judges. And one of the things that he says in his documentary, or in the documentary Children of Darkness, which is a act up documentary, by the way. One of the things he says is, this is not word for word, but basically like if you act up in the hospital, the nurses will kick you out. If you act up in a detention center, they'll kick you out. But you can't escape, Elan. We won't give up on you, he says.
He used the word escape.
Oh, wait. Just wait. How do you get to Elan School once your parents have signed you up?
Bus.
No.
Train.
No.
Car.
White van.
Like kidnapper van? Like cargo white van, no windows?
Kidnapper van.
Oh.
In fact, they kidnap you.
What?
Yes. So, here's the thing. Kids, for some god-awful reason, are viewed as property by the government. Not as a responsibility, not as humans. They're viewed as property by the government. Which means, if you're a parent and you sign your rights away to someone else,
Yes.
your child no longer belongs to you. You no longer have a say in your child's life. Boom. That kid is now these people's responsibility.
Right.
They're not treated as humans. They're treated as property. And that's one of the problems here, because these parents would sign their kids over to this school, and these sick motherfuckers would come to people's houses in the middle of the night and go into the children's room and hog tie their ass. And drag them out of the house. 4 large men would tie these kids up and drag them out of the house into the fucking van and throw them in the van.
And the parents would just let it happen?
Yeah, like they couldn't do anything. They signed their rights over. There's nothing they can do. Now, your parents can drop you off. They can take you and drop you off, but if they feel like it's going to be a situation where they're not going to be able to get you there, then they can have these quote-unquote escorts come get you.
Oh my God, that's horrific.
That's kidnapping. I don't care if you signed your rights over. That's kidnapping. Literally, what is that guy that does the Twisted Haunted House?
Oh, you're talking about the freaking, what is it? The big factory, the McKinney.
Yeah, the McKinney Manor. No,
Manor.
That's at his house. It's not a factory.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, like literally, like that's part of the experience is he tells you they kidnap you, and they do the same thing. They put a bag over your head, they tie you up, they throw you in the back of a truck. That's kidnapping.
And it's just random day. They just show up and
yeah, they just show up and they just take you away. Okay, yeah. You get there, and when you get there, you're taken to your building. Now, the building you end up in, there's like Elan 1, Elan 2, Elan, like up through like 6, I think. But so there's like different numbers.
Mm-hmm.
What building you end up in depends on how much your parents could pay.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah. So like one building, I guess Elan 6 had a TV in it. So that was nice. Like one building had a dog. So like there's these different buildings. They have different things. Okay. When you get there, you have to take the quail shower. I couldn't understand what anybody was saying. And like I couldn't find the technical term. But it sounded like they were saying like the quail shower.
What is that? What is that where they would line you up on a wall and spray you down?
No. But it's just as fucked up. Because what they would do is they would strip you down. These adults would make you take your clothes off, and then they would watch you shower. Adults watching 12 to 18-year-olds shower.
Wow.
Okay?
Yeah, that's gross.
Yeah. Then they give them clothes, a new set of clothes, so they take your jewelry away. You get your hair cut.
Yeah, they got to get rid of everything that makes you an individual.
Right,
you know?
Exactly. And they give you this clothing called no-image clothing.
Is it just white, gray, all black? Something?
So when I was looking at the pictures of Elan, it just seemed like it was like regular clothes, but not like just like regular t-shirts and stuff. They weren't all wearing the same color.
It was like all just plain clothes though.
Basically.
No graphic tees.
Yeah.
Nothing interesting.
Exactly. So you get the no image clothing. The only exception is if you become a split risk, which is when you try to run away.
Oh.
So they put you into a bright neon yellow shirt at that point.
That way you're easily to spot.
Yeah, they put you in a bright yellow shirt, short pink shorts, like short shorts.
Like hot pants.
Hot pants. And they take your shoelaces away.
Your shoes will fall off.
Yes, exactly. And this is in the middle of the woods, okay? So this is the exception. When you get there, you are assigned a big brother or a big sister. And this person is to sort of be your guide.
Okay.
But you can't get any answers out of them. There is a webcomic that Hunter actually sent me. And in the webcomic, anytime this guy who did the comic, he goes by Joe Nobody. Anytime he would try and ask his big brother when he first got there anything, like he just wouldn't answer him.
You just like ignore him?
Yes. So here's the thing. There are also strengths and non-strengths. And if you come in and you're new, you're a non-strength. You have to earn your way up to strength. But that takes a lot of time, takes a lot of effort. If you're a non-strength, you cannot address a strength. And the only way you can talk to a non-strength is if there is someone monitoring you.
Wow. So you can't even talk to your peers.
No, you can't talk to your peers. There are some rules on top of, like don't just talk to your peers. Let's go over some of the rules, okay, in Elan. Which, by the way, when you get there, they don't give you a list of rules. They don't tell you these are the rules, okay? They don't do that. You just learn, I guess.
The hard way.
The hard way, yeah. So the rules are as follows. Don't talk too loud. Don't talk too soft. Don't look outside. Don't look at the floor. Don't look at the opposite gender. Don't avoid looking at the opposite gender. Don't have a crush. Don't pretend to sleep. Don't sleep too long. Don't sleep too little. Don't talk too much. Don't talk too little. Don't react wrong. Don't react negatively. Don't smile. Don't shower too long.
Do everything medium.
Do everything.
That's it.
Yeah.
Medium.
But it's subjective. So like what's medium to you is not the same as medium to me.
But it's essentially making everybody into a single state of mind.
Well, not even that. Because listen,
like I'm imagining like making everyone like the same shade of a color.
Yeah,
is the goal here or something.
No. And it'll make more sense as we go, but it's more like imagine if you had people and instead of being a shade of color, they were just like a giant scribble inside because it's chaos. So it sounds like it's going to be just zombies when you hear the rules, but that's not it. And we haven't even hit the tip of the iceberg. Okay, we're just getting started.
Oh boy.
Like I said, you think about it, this stuff's subjective. So like to me, you speak very quietly.
Right.
But you think you're speaking in a normal tone.
Uh-huh.
And you tell me all the time, why are you raising your voice at me? And I'm like, I'm not. I'm just talking. Okay, so like to you, I'm very loud, right?
So what's a medium?
What's a medium, right? God, yeah. So yeah, those are some of the rules. There are also 5 categories of jobs. And when you come in, you start at the bottom with janitorial work. Then you can move up to kitchen meals. Above that is business, which is filing paperwork. Then comes communications, which relays outside news. And then the expediters, which are basically the prison guards.
Ooh,
okay. Now, here's the thing about some of these jobs. What is a long work day to you?
8 hours. 8 to 10 hours.
Okay. 8 to 10 hours.
Yeah.
Sometimes 12. We've done 12-hour days, right?
Yeah, those are really long.
They would make these kids do these jobs for 18 hours.
Oh, my God.
18 hours. Sometimes, picture like a tile floor.
Yeah.
Like the ones at work.
Mm-hmm.
With like the 1x1 squares. Sometimes you'd be assigned like 9 of these squares. And that would be your spot to clean for 18 hours.
Are you a joke?
No, I'm not a joke.
Oh, my God.
Right. Okay.
Oh, my God. I just can't imagine like spinning in a circle for 18 hours. Like cleaning, one circle.
I know that,
Ah.
I understand what you're saying, but what I pictured was not what you were saying. Like, I literally just pictured you, like, crawling in a circle.
No, I just like you think you like walking around a freaking area,
Yeah.
cleaning the same area
Yeah.
like for 8 hours is boring.
Yeah.
When there's nobody on the floor.
Right.
But how about when you get that section cut into a fourth, and now you got to do that for 18 hours?
Not even a fourth. It's like an eighth.
Jesus.
Okay.
Clean this one machine for 18 hours right now.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly what it is. And and keep in mind, these are young developing brains. You're just developing them into mush at that point. Like, that's all you're doing. You're developing these minds into mush. You're not teaching them anything. With the police situation, these were just other students. Okay? One of the issues with this whole system, it's really kind of ingenious, all right? And in the worst way. Because this system is set up to keep itself going. So you have students policing students. And these students, the only way you can get out of here is if you follow the rules and you do what we want you to do. All right?
Yes.
And everybody would be given an opportunity there. And this is in Joe Nobody's comic. They'd be given an opportunity. You'd be handed a notepad and you'd be in charge of the room for the day. Okay? And if you're in charge of the room, that means you get to monitor everybody and keep an eye on everybody. And people loved this because it was like a sense of freedom, for a moment. And I'm not saying that they loved, like, treating other people like garbage.
No, it was just like a sense of control for
a moment. Yeah, like, you're in control because you don't have control over anything in your life right now. So, and that's understandable. I feel like anybody would want to be placed in a position of power if you're scrubbing 9 by 9 feet for 18 hours a day. And if you didn't write anybody's name down in this notepad and what they did wrong, then we would have a general meeting with you. You would get in trouble.
Oh.
What is a general meeting, you might be wondering?
Yeah, I want to... What would they do? What is that?
A general meeting is... Ugh, God, I can't even with this. Did I mention the game?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, you mentioned the game.
So, the general meeting is...
That we all just lost again, by the way. Sorry about that.
The general meeting is basically Joe Ricci's version of the game.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't even know where to start with this because anyone can call a general meeting at any time. And basically, if you do something wrong, someone hollers general meeting and the entire room comes to you.
Like they all have to stop what they're doing.
Yeah, they all stop what they're doing. And they have to, what they call, quote unquote, get their feelings off on you. And what this consists of is people just screaming the worst of the worst at you.
Oh my God.
You're dumb. You're an idiot. Can't do anything. You're like, what? I hate you. There was one I was listening to. The guy's like, I'll fucking kill you. Like, I don't care who you are. These are kids screaming. And you don't react. You are not allowed to react. You are not allowed to cry. You are not allowed to
get mad.
You stand there and you take it while everybody gets their feelings off on you. And everyone is encouraged to get their feelings off on you. And they will scream for like 10 to 20 minutes per person. So you think if there's 100 of them.
Oh my God.
And one of the girls said that 100, saying there's 100 students there, was an underestimation. She said by the time she left, there had to be like 200, 300 students.
Wow.
Okay. While they're screaming at you, in the documentary, you can see these kids screaming. This documentary is trippy. While they're screaming at you, you can see in their face. It's like the screaming isn't in their face. It's just their voices. You can tell they don't want to be screaming, but they're doing what they have to survive in this place.
Right.
And there's this thing that they've developed called the Elan cadence, because you would learn how to scream for 10 minutes.
Oh my God.
At the top of your lungs. I mean, think about when you're screaming, whether in joy or anger or whatever, how much air that takes from you. Think about how much effort it takes.
Yeah, not only that, but it like makes your throat really raw.
Right. So it's called the Elan cadence because these kids would learn to wah, 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 da, da, da. Like they learned how to scream because they had to do it. So that's a general meeting. Could be called on you for anything. All right. They actually had these little slips of paper where if someone did something against you, someone hurt your feelings or made you angry, these are like little inch by inch square slips of paper. You write your name on it, you write the person's name on it, and then you mark off the feeling that they made you feel. And they could get a general meeting for that.
Wow.
They don't ask you why. They don't say, well, what did they do to hurt your feelings? What did they do to make you mad? They get a general meeting for it.
So what happens if you do react?
They keep going. You're not allowed to react. Or they would put a sign on you. So this sign you could end up wearing for weeks. You got to make your own sign, but other people got to choose what it said.
Oh.
Let me pull this one up here. This one is from the documentary. This girl was found wearing the sign, or she was wearing the sign. And these signs are weird because they're cute. Like they look like they should be hanging in like kindergarten classrooms. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But they say awful things. So it kind of made me think of that video, Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared.
Yeah.
Because, like, it's up, but it's bright and colorful. You know what I mean? Okay, so there's this one. I'm not going to say the girl's name, but you can find this online. It says, my name is, I behave like an emotional cripple. I consistently seek people's attention and try to get them to prove that they care about me. I play games and continually usurp people's emotions in order to make myself feel special. Please confront me, because if I don't change this attitude, I will always be scared and lonely.
Wow.
Okay, yes. And you would have to wear these signs around your neck until they decided you were done wearing these signs. Okay?
So just like humiliation.
Yes, that's exactly what it was. And one of the things that this meatball, this moldy meatball says in the video is, well, if you act like an adult, we're going to treat you like an adult. But if you act like a baby, then we're going to scream at you like you're a baby. Okay, listen.
But you don't scream at a baby.
I was going to say, if you scream at babies,
you're going to scare them.
You don't need to be a parent, first of all.
Right.
Okay, do you know what you do to a baby that you scream at? Like that little baby Albert. His name is Albert. It's the baby Albert experiment. And he was 9 months old. And they would expose him to, white rat, a rabbit, monkey, masks, and different things like that. And when they would show him the rat, they would make a loud noise. And Albert continued to be afraid of rats through his life.
Oh my God.
So that's what they're doing here. It's the same thing because, again, these are children. Their minds are developing. And the guy says, like, yeah, we humiliate them. Like, if you humiliate them, they won't do it again. You got the signs. Another thing that they would do is they would make you wear costumes. And these costumes were also humiliating. So if you were acting like a baby, they would put a diaper on you and give you a rattle and make you wear a sign that said, I'm just a big baby, or I'm a little crybaby.
Wow.
There was one girl who they would make her dress up as a hooker.
Oh my God.
With a sign. And there was a song that they would sing to her that was like, I'm the hottest baby in the class. They would make her sing that. And that's in the documentary, The Last Stop. Like, you can actually, like, the guy talks about that. He sings the whole song. Like, he remembers it. Okay, so, like, they would fucking humiliate these kids. One boy, in the documentary, Children from the Darkness, I think it's called. I'll post it. But in this documentary, this kid has escaped a few times. So they put him in a bunny suit and put shackles on his ankles.
Oh my God.
And he's been in those shackles for weeks. And once again, Joe Ricci, this is when he's like, well, yeah, we humiliate him. He doesn't have to wear them. He gets to decide when he doesn't have to wear them. But this kid, it's fucked up because this kid's talking. And he's like talking about how embarrassed he is. And he says he's miserable here. Like the documentary is so weird because they don't lie about anything in it.
Yeah.
And it's really watered, but it's very watered down. But they're not lying about it.
It's like they don't want to show you the whole truth, though.
They don't want to show you the whole truth. But they give you enough of the truth that I feel like you should have, because...
That just means that it's a lot worse than what they're showing.
Well, and in this documentary, like, it's showing the kids screaming at each other. It's showing, you know, the embarrassing costumes. Joe's talking about these kids like... I don't know, like, he says, oh, well, people have to show them how messed up the world is. It's not an easy place. Yeah, I agree, but the world's gonna mess them up, so you don't need to help do that, okay?
Right.
So
like, they're gonna have their own experiences and things in life, but they're theirs to have.
Right. Your job, you dumb...
is to give them the tools to deal with those
cope
things.
with those things. Exactly. Right. If you think that's bad. Now we're gonna talk about the ring.
The ring.
The ring. Okay? And Joe claims that the ring was only for bullies. But even if it was for bullies, this is not okay. It's fucked up. Okay? I'm sorry. I'm getting passionate because this is messed up. This pissed me off. So the ring was what it sounds like. It was a boxing ring.
Whoa, what? Like a fighting ring?
Yes. And what they would do is they would put these kids in the ring, okay? And they would put one kid in the ring, and then they would send another kid in there who was bigger than that kid to beat the shit out of that kid. And they would let that kid beat up on the first kid until he was tired. And then when he's tired, they move him out and they move someone else in to beat up on this kid. And then when that kid's tired, they move him out and they move a third kid in.
Wait, so they're beating up on the same kid?
Same kid. Okay.
How did the person not die?
Okay. Here we go. So, there was a young man whose name was Phil Williams, okay? Phil Williams was said to be a good-looking boy. He was said, you know, a lot of the girls liked him, but he was a little troubled.
Okay. Bad boy.
Well, yeah, like...
Delinquent.
Not even. Like, he had some temper issues. I wouldn't have even called him a bad kid. You know, he probably... I don't know. But he suffered from chronic migraines. And apparently, they thought that he was lying because he said his head was hurting.
Oh.
So he got in trouble, and they put him in the ring. All right? And he was just talking about his head hurting. He died.
Because he was having a migraine at the time?
He was having a migraine, and we don't know exactly what happened because they said it was an aneurysm.
Oh my God.
They said he had a brain aneurysm, but he was complaining about these headaches, which he was known to have. And they punished him for it, and then he died.
So what'd they do with that? What'd they say the death happened to be? Like what?
They said he had a brain aneurysm.
They didn't say, oh yeah, we let a bunch of people beat him up until he like convulsed and died.
No. Yeah, blank stare, I know.
So they just completely glossed over the fact that they beat the crap out of him.
Yes. They had another punishment there. And where they would... One kid would hold a girl, like a kid's arms, and the other one would hold her legs, and they would like hold them over a chair, and they would beat them with a... In the video, he says, oh, it's just a little... what are they called? Like little freaking table paddle. What's that game?
Oh,
ping pong paddle. Yeah. Ping pong paddle. But the girl in the interview says no. It was like an oar with holes drilled through it.
Oh my God.
And they would beat them until they were black and blue from their knees up to their lower back, and there were like scabs and cuts on them.
Holy crap. It's like torture.
Yes. And yes, it gets better. It just keeps getting better.
How did he get away with like legally torturing people?
Oh, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. So some more forms of punishment. There was a girl there who had syphilis.
Uh-huh.
They made her wear tampons in her hair.
Wow.
There was the electric sauce. I know you've been waiting to hear about this one.
Electric sauce?
Electric sauce, which in the comic, it was described that... So In the comic by Joe Nobody, the school's no longer run by Joe Ricci. It's run by another guy. But the guy was there whenever Joe Ricci was running it.
Oh, okay.
Okay. And Joe Ricci would apparently, like, they'd put you in solitary confinement, which was just like a dark room, and there was like a bucket in the corner that you would go to the bathroom in.
Yeah.
So the electric sauce was human feces, urine, ketchup, coffee grounds, cigarettes. Yeah. It was all that, and they would dump it over your head.
I'm sorry, I'm trying not to gag, but that is gross. There we go again. Oh, that is...
Her face. Are you okay?
Yeah. That's nasty.
I'm not laughing at the situation. It pisses me off. I'm laughing at Lindsay's face. You're sending your kids here to get rehabilitated, right? You're also sending them here for school.
Yeah.
And school takes place from 7 in the morning to 11 in the morning.
Wait, that's only 4 hours.
You say only 4 hours, but they're mind-numbing because what are you going to do? You're going to copy shit from a book onto a piece of paper. That's all you're going to do.
But that's not learning. That's just copying things.
Well, you know, this is Elan School for the elite.
But you're not retaining information.
That's a higher education, Lindsay. I don't know what you're talking about. That is the best education.
No, it sounds like they're more focused on the torturing and doing free slave work.
Well, according to Joe Ricci, you're wrong. So, take that. So anyway, that's school. Additionally, the employees of this place, you want to guess who they are?
Who?
The employees are, we don't have professional teachers. We don't have therapists. What we have is Ricci, the doctor, and a bunch of former students.
Wow. No,
Yeah.
So no one with degrees, no one who specialized in anything.
No.
Well, no wonder all they're doing is copying things from a book because no one knows how to actually...
They don't know what they're doing.
No one knows how to actually teach anything.
Yeah. So yeah, nobody knows what they're doing. Okay? These are not professionals. These are people. It's like a prison. Like, think about it. People who get out of prison, prisoners don't know how to live once they get out, so they just return. They keep returning to it.
Right.
You know?
Because it's all they know.
Right. So whenever students would visit their parents or parents would come to visit the students,
Yeah.
the parents would be prepped beforehand. They would tell the parents, your kid is going to say anything they can to get out of here. They're going to tell you how horrible it is. They're lying. And there was one student who her mother actually his mother came and picked him up because he was so robotic during their visit. She was like, that's not my son. Like, mama instinct kicked in. She knew.
Like he was so traumatized.
Well, he wasn't reacting. He wasn't responding because he
had been taught.
He had been taught not to, and you get punished if you do. Letters, incoming and outgoing, were opened and inspected. And phone calls
Were recorded.
No, but someone would stand there with their finger. You remember, like, phones used to have a little thing you could push to hang up?
Yes.
They would stand there with their finger on the button so that if you were going to say anything, they'd hang the phone up before you could say anything.
Wow.
So everything is very, very tightly monitored. Very tightly monitored.
Wow.
All right. As far as their nurse's office went, they would basically, if you got sick or something, you got sent to the nurse's office, they'd give you some Tylenol and send you back.
Okay. Right, because they didn't have any doctors or nurses there either.
Well, I don't know if the nurse was actually a nurse or not. I think that she was a nurse. But, there was a girl who had actually somehow, she had gotten a hold of something sharp during a general meeting, and she slit her wrists.
Oh.
And they took her to the nurse's office, bandaged her up, and brought her back for the general meeting.
Wow. So they let it, they had it continue even though she had tried to...
Yes.
Wow.
Another girl had actually escaped. Her name was Dawn Marie. And when she escaped, she got picked up by a trucker, and then he murdered her. And
oh my God.
he was... That guy, his name, we're going to throw his name out here because he's a piece of trash, is James R. Cruz. He was a serial killer. So she's in this horrible fucking facility. She escapes, gets picked up by a serial killer, and gets murdered.
Wow.
Yeah. Then there was Max Ashern, who was actually picked up by a sheriff in Maine.
Mm-hmm.
And the sheriff saw the marks on his arms and the way he was acting. And he was like, there's not a lot I can do for you, but I'm going to take you to where you can get some help. And he took him and he dropped him off with a bunch of truckers. I guess he thought that would be the best thing for him. So, like, he didn't take him back to the school, but also, what?
Yeah, I don't know what the thought process there was.
Right. So you were asking earlier about them getting away with all this stuff.
Yeah.
Because this school wasn't shut down until April 1st of 2011.
Oh my God. That's so recent.
Yes.
And it started in the 70s?
Yes. This school ran for 40 years. And part of the reason that they were getting away with everything, that's why they picked the state of Maine, is because the regulations and things weren't real tight. They were able to get away with a lot.
Oh my God. But
Yeah.
like actual physical torture and stuff?
They were paying the judges to send kids. They were paying the judges off. And in my opinion, any judge who sent a child to Elan School and profited off of it should be charged.
They should be. That's like inhumane.
To me,
That's war against or crime against humanity and all that. That's like
you're
on that level.
just as guilty as the people who are doing this. You know,
because you're like knowingly just sweeping it under the rug.
for money. All right. So yeah, the state of Illinois, the state of Illinois filed an investigation on Elan. But again, the mayor of Maine, when he investigated it, he said that he was impressed with how many students said that they felt that Elan was doing good for them.
Wow. So that wasn't a bribed response or anything.
Yeah, right. He definitely knew what was going on. Like, I have no doubt in my mind he knew what was going on. When you watch this documentary, Children of Darkness, again, you can, like, they're very forthcoming. They don't tell you everything, but they're very forthcoming. I was watching this and I was just baffled at how much, like, the shit they were saying. I was like, you would not get away with that today. Just because it's wrong. You would not get away with that today.
Right.
He's going on about how, like I said, like, he needs to be humiliated. If you're going to act like a baby, we're going to scream at you. He said, yeah, we put kids in the ring, like, but they wouldn't let them film the ring, of course. Another thing that they talked about, there was a kid there who, I don't remember what his condition was, but he kept trying to, like, hurt himself. He kept acting out, and he had a neurological disorder, which they would keep him chained to a bed all day.
Oh my God.
They would release him 3 times a day to walk to keep his muscles going. And they were like, basically, like, if he doesn't get better, then we can give him a lobotomy.
What?
That's what they said.
How that blows my mind because asylums were shut down in the 80s because of stuff like that.
Well, and that's what I'm saying is, like, you're listening to this documentary and you're like, what the fuck is the differentiation between this and a psych ward in the 1800s?
Right.
You know?
Because they would just toss people in there for, Mary's hysterical again. Must send her away to the loony bin.
Right. So, and that's what they were doing to these kids. And it's sad because these parents that are talking, that they're interviewing, they love their kids. They're getting very emotional. You know, they're crying. They're like, I just want what's best. I don't know what to do. You know what I mean? Like, they believe that they're doing what's best for their kids.
Not this. Jail would be better. Jail would be better.
Right. But, oh God, I don't even know.
Because at least in jail, you have a bed. You have 3 meals a day.
That's another thing. I'm glad you
and armed officers on watch all the time to make sure no other inmates cause problems.
I am glad you brought up the meals because that was another thing. Is as far as like eating goes, they were only given like 3 to 5 minutes a day to eat.
What?
Okay.
You better cram that down your gob really quickly.
Well, and you couldn't just reach for food if you were like a low strength or a no strength. You could not just go for food. It was kind of like first come, first serve, too. So you got what was left over.
Wow.
So, yeah, you're right. Prisons feed their inmates better than this school is feeding these kids. There was one boy who, we were talking about the humiliation aspect of it, how they would dress them up. Well, one house had a golden retriever. And so he thought, maybe it'd be good like for us to have a golden retriever. So he suggested that they get a dog. So what do? They make this boy dress up as a dog, and they make him walk around on all fours and bark and take commands. And they would not let him act like a human, and he was the house dog.
That's terrible.
Yeah. And I don't understand, like, even if you're doing it for the money, which is all this is just Joe Riccis and his staff of deluded pockets trying to get rich. That's all this is. But even if that's all it is, at least give them a proper education.
Right.
And food and bedding. Like, if you don't want to rehabilitate them, fine. Just don't advertise that you're a rehabilitation center. Because you could probably make a lot of money just by being like a private boarding school.
Even then, I wouldn't send anyone to this school.
Oh, I wouldn't either. But what I'm saying is, like, he had the means to just do what he said he was doing, and he didn't do it.
What an evil person.
Right. The way that all this information finally came out. Have you heard of Michael Skakel?
No.
Okay, so apparently the Kennedys had someone in their family who committed a murder.
Okay.
And that was Michael Skakel. Well, Michael Skakel was a student at Elan.
Oh.
And he tried to use his trauma at Elan as the basis for why he committed the murder. Not a good excuse, not a good reason. But that's the reason that everything came out. Is because he was going to trial and saying that all this happened.
Because he was deeply disturbed.
Is what he was claiming, yeah. Allegedly. So, yeah. There's so much on this frickin' place, and, like, I didn't even know where to start with it. I'm sure I'm missing stuff. Like, I listened to stuff for, like, a week. Yeah, so there you have it. That's Elan School, and that is, adults making money off of abusing children.
So, I don't have words because of how
fucked up it is.
I mean, I'm not even sure what to rate this.
That's because this, I don't think it would be appropriate to rate this. Because this is something that, like I said, beyond a shadow of a doubt, like, this happened.
Right.
This didn't stop until 2011.
It's so recent. That was only 13 years ago.
There are people out there who are still suffering and struggling with trauma because of this.
And that's crazy. That's crazy for me to think because I was a teenager 13 years ago.
Right. That's what I'm saying. So this school was shut down the year that I graduated high school.
Yep. That was the year right after I graduated high school.
Which is scary because just think about it. Like, people were sending their kids from all over the world. I know you were a freaking hooligan.
I was quite the delinquent in my teenage years.
Like, what if...
good God, I couldn't imagine if my parents decided, like, you know what? I can't anymore with this
I'm sending her to Elan.
Let's send her to Maine.
Yeah, right. So, I don't feel like this is something that we should be using for entertainment purposes, so I am not going to rate this one. Because
that's fair.
I feel like this episode is solely to educate people on something that happened. So
it's still disturbing. Like, that is.
It is. It's disgusting what people are able to do to people, especially what adults are able to do to children who rely on adults to guide them and keep them safe and teach them how to navigate a f***ed up world.
Right.
They're not cash cows. They're not property. They're tiny humans.
Yeah, and the solution to a child that's already, like, having issues as a child is not adding fuel to the fire.
Right. And when you're that young, your brain is still malleable, which means there's still a chance you can still help them. They can still be rehabilitated.
Yeah, they could still grow up to have decent lives and be decent people.
And if you're doing like this, you are failing an entire generation. Okay? You're failing an entire generation for your fucking greed so that you can die in your bed of paper.
Which you can't take with you.
So, whatever. That's Elan School. And it's fucked up.
Mm.
So, I don't even know how to conclude it because this one's pretty heavy. For now, though, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. If you enjoyed this episode of Macabre at Midnight and you like spooky things, then you can catch us on Amazon Music, Apple Music, Audible, Deezer, iHeartRadio, Spotify, YouTube, and more. You can also help us out by liking, rating, and subscribing. We're always looking to improve, and we want to hear what you guys have to say. You can also follow us on Instagram for regular updates and episode teasers, as well as other information at macabre_at_midnight_podcast. And if you want to hear us talk about something that fits on the scale of screams, or you have an experience or short work of your own horror fiction that you'd like us to share in our new listener library, then send us an email at macabatmidnight@outlook.com. Remember to lock your doors, sprinkle a little bit of salt on your floor, check under your bed, to stay spooky, and we will see you in your nightmares.
Stay safe.
Yeah, don't abuse kids or we'll kick your ass.